On my third visit to Japan, this was going to be my first time ever travelling on a bullet train. I headed out from my accommodation in Tokyo, getting the Chuo-Sobu line and the Yamanote line to head down to Tokyo Station, where I was going to catch my first shinkansen. I picked up a bento box for lunch and headed up to the platform to watch the trains come and go before mine was due to arrive. As we headed out of Tokyo Station and started to pick up speed, I was really excited to be heading to Kyoto and continuing my journey across Japan. It was really nice to watch the world go by from the comfortable seat of the bullet train, keeping an eye out for the trains that I was getting around the city. And you can also peek between the buildings and catch a glimpse of the Tokyo Tower as you're heading out. The reason why I hadn't actually gotten a bullet train on my last visits was the first time I visited Japan was on a school trip when I was 13 years old, and we only stayed in the Kyoto and Osaka area. And on my previous trip to Tokyo, I'd stayed 10 days just in the city because there's so much to do that it wasn't really worth doing a day trip just for the sake of taking the Shinkansen. But this trip, I really wanted to go to Kyoto and Okayama, so the bullet train was a necessity. As we got out into the countryside, we hit full speed, and it was just incredible to see everything rushing by. I made sure to select my seat in D for the chance to see Mount Fuji. And luckily, as we were making our approach, I managed to see Mount Fuji. I love Mount Fuji. I managed to visit there on a day trip on my previous visit to Tokyo. And I'm just obsessed with seeing Mount Fuji. I saw it from the plane, and seeing it from the Shinkansen is just like quintessentially a Japanese experience. Unfortunately, as we headed south of Mount Fuji, which is the ideal viewing side of the mountain, it was actually covered in clouds. So I'm glad I got to see it from afar, although it would have been nice to see it up close as well. But you just never know, because the weather around Mount Fuji in different areas is just so changeable. So if you do manage to get a clear view from the south side of it, you're very, very lucky. I did keep glancing back in the hope that maybe the clouds would shift, but they didn't. After I got over the excitement of seeing Mount Fuji, it was time to eat. I picked up a pork cutlet sandwich, and it was wrapped so perfectly, and it was so delicious. I would really recommend these if you are looking for a nice little lunch or snack to have on the Shinkansen. The views from the train were just so beautiful. I love seeing the different industries, the rivers, the mountains. It's just absolutely gorgeous to be passing through Japan. And finally, I arrived at Kyoto Station, and I waited to see the Shinkansen leave. And it's actually a nice idea to do this because you miss the crowds rushing down the stairs. As a lover of architecture, Kyoto Station is something to behold. It was designed by the architect Hiroshi Hara and opened in 1997. And it is a beautiful futuristic building, and I think the second largest station building in Japan. So it's really, really nice to come up the escalators and just see the amazing size and shape of this building. And when you walk outside, you can see the famous Kyoto Tower. I headed on to my hotel to drop off my luggage because it was about mid-morning, and I wanted to start exploring Kyoto before checking in later in the day. And this is a very iconic Japanese train station hallway where it just goes on forever. with the white tiles and the fluorescent lights. I stayed at the Tsugu Kyoto Sanjo Hotel, and it has this beautiful historic building as part of the hotel. After dropping off my luggage, I headed out just to wander around the shops and see where my feet would take me. I headed to the nearby Honnoji Temple to collect a very special goshuin. The grounds in the building was very beautiful and very peaceful. I then walked south along the Takase River, enjoying the autumn leaves and just the beautiful sounds of the wind and the water rushing past. I decided I had time to head to one of the more popular touristy shrines down in Gion, but I cut through this little back street and saw a very cute black cat on the way. I'm a big lover of cats, and if I see one on the street, you know I'm going to be going pss 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 and trying to pet it. He was a bit too busy to say hello though. Heading over to Yasaka Shrine, you sort of hit a very touristy area with lots of shops and restaurants. To get to the shrine, I had to cross the Kamo River, which is just huge. And it was just beautiful to see these sort of angry looking clouds threatening rain in the distance and the changing colours of the landscape. On my way, I did pop into a little gachapon store just to see if there was anything that I hadn't seen in Tokyo. I did roll this Disney bread gacha and I got Baymax. On the way to Yasaka Shrine, I saw some people dressed up in kimono, and this is where it started to get quite busy and quite touristy. But I'm part of the problem. I'm here, I'm a tourist, and you just have to go with the flow and enjoy it. I enjoyed walking the grounds of the shrine and also paid my respects and collected the goshuin while I was here. They have a huge stage with all of these lanterns. I didn't come back at night, but if you do come back at night, they're usually lit up. There were many people having little mini photo shoots and taking in the sight of the autumn leaves. Heading to the west side of the shrine, the crowds just drop off immediately, and there's just some beautiful views, and it's very peaceful here. I love the colour of the red lanterns and the red fences against the red maple leaves. It's just absolutely stunning. At this point, I was getting quite hungry and it was coming up to the time where I'd be able to check into my hotel, so I wanted to walk back up and get some food. I decided to go to Kuro Sushi, and this was my first time at a conveyor belt sushi restaurant. Because I was visiting in an off-peak time, I think it was about 2 or 3 p.m., it was very quiet, and as a solo diner, it was really easy to get a seat. I didn't pick anything up off the conveyor belt, I just ordered everything on the iPad. I'm not actually a big fan of fish or seafood, but I managed to find a lot of delicious things, like the fried cheese sushi. It's amazing. I ordered 2 of them. I also got some french fries because I had seen Japanese people's vlogs of them getting french fries at the conveyor belt restaurant, so I just really wanted to try them. After this, I was pretty much full, and I only had 5 plates, but I put them into this little hole and hoped that I might win the little game that you get to play once you deposit all of the plates. I'm kind of happy that she didn't get to shoot the cat, but unfortunately I did not win the game because the cat was saved by the fly swatter. I headed to check into my hotel and relax a little bit, and I really enjoyed staying here. It was just so beautifully clean and nicely laid out. I actually got a room that could sleep 4 people, but it was the cheapest option as a single occupant, and it was really nice to have sort of the sofa area to relax in. I hate tiny hotel rooms where you have to spend all your relaxing time on your bed where you also sleep. I headed back out to visit some stationery stores nearby, and I have 2 videos actually up on my channel visiting the Traveller's Factory store as well as Kyoto and Tag Stationery if you'd like to check those out. Because I'd been eating at odd times during the day, I didn't feel like having a full dinner, so I grabbed some bits from the konbini and relaxed because I knew that the next day, when I was going to visit Nara, would be quite a busy day, so I just wanted to relax in my hotel and prepare myself for the next day. So I'll see you there.